Today is Friday, May 22. We're going to be reading 2 Samuel 11, 12, and 13.
And so somebody has the giggles. You too, huh? Well, you have your coloring book? And Catherine fell asleep over there. So while while eating. All right. What are we reading about?
David defeats the...
Nope.
Oh, wait, I'm at 10. Oh, no. David and Bathsheba.
Yes. So, find your spot.
Okay.
All right. Chapter 11, David and Bathsheba. In the spring of the year, the time when the kings go out to battle, David sent out Joab and his officers, all of Israel with him. They brought to ruin the Ammonites and besieged Rabbah, but David remained in Jerusalem. One evening when David arose from his bed and was walking on the roof of the king's house, from the roof he saw a woman bathing, and the woman was very beautiful. So David sent someone to inquire about the woman, and it was asked, "Is this not Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite?" Uriah the Hittite. So David sent messengers and took her, and she came to him, and he lay with her. When she had purified herself from her uncleanness, she returned to her house. The woman conceived, so she sent a message and reported to David, "I am pregnant." And David sent an order to Joab, "Sent Uriah the Hittite to me." So Joab sent Uriah to David. When Uriah came to him, David asked about the welfare of Joab, the people, and the fighting. Then David said to Uriah, "Go down to your house, wash your feet." So Uriah left the house of the king, and the gift from the king followed him. But Uriah slept at the entrance of the house of the king with all of the servants of his lord. He did not go down to his house. When they reported to David, saying, "Uriah did not go down to his house," David said to Uriah, Have you not come from a journey? Why did you not go down to your house?" Uriah responded to David, "The ark, Israel and Judah dwell in makeshift shelters. My lord Joab and the officers of my lord are camping in the open field. But I may enter my house to eat, to drink, and to sleep with my wife. As you live, and as your soul lives, I will not do this thing." So David said to Uriah, "Remain here another day, and I will send you back tomorrow." Uriah remained in Jerusalem that day, and the following day David invited him to eat in his presence, and he drank until he got Uriah drunk. In the evening he went to lie down in his lodging with the servants of his lord, but he did not go down to his house. That morning David wrote a message to Joab and sent it by way of Uriah. He wrote in the message, "Send Uriah to the front of the line where the fighting is heaviest, then withdraw from him, so that he may be struck down and die." So as Joab was besieging the city, he stationed Uriah in a place where he knew fierce men were. When the men of the city came out, they fought with Joab, and some people among those who served David fell. Uriah the Hittite died among them. Joab sent word to inform David of all the events of the battle. He instructed the messenger, "When you finish telling the king all the details of the battle, if his anger arises and he says to you, 'Why did you approach so near to the city? Did you not know that they might shoot from the city wall? Who killed Abimelech, the son of Jerub-Besheth? Did not a woman throw an upper millstone on him from the city wall so that he died at Thebez? Why did you approach so near to the city wall?' You should then say, 'Additionally, your servant Uriah the Hittite is dead.'" So the messenger departed and came to report to David everything that Joab had sent with him. The messenger reported to David, "The men prevailed over us when they came out against us in the open field, but we drove them back to the entrance of the gate. Then the archers shot at your servant from upon the city wall, and some of those who serve the king are dead. Even your servant Uriah the Hittite died." So David replied to the messenger, "Thus shall you report to Joab, do not allow this thing to dismay you, for the sword devours one as well as another. Sustain your attack against the city and bring it to ruin." Encourage him with this reply. When the wife of Uriah heard that her husband was dead, she mourned for her husband. When the time of mourning was concluded, David sent for her and brought her to his house. She became his wife, and she bore him a son. But the thing that David had done was displeasing to the Lord. Chapter 12. Nathan rebukes David. The Lord sent Nathan to David. He came to him and said, "There were two men in a certain city. One was wealthy, but the other was poor. The wealthy man had a very large flock and herd, but the poor man had nothing except a single small ewe lamb that he had acquired. He nourished it and raised it together with himself and his sons. From his crumbs it would eat, from his cup it would drink, and in his arms it would lie. It was like a daughter to him. There came a visitor to the wealthy man, but he was unwilling to take from his own flock or herd to prepare a meal for the wanderer who had come to him. Instead, he took the poor man's ewe lamb and prepared food for the wanderer who had come to him. David became very angry because of this man. He said to Nathan, "As the Lord lives, the man who did this deserves to die, and he should restore the lamb fourfold because he did this thing, and because he had no pity." Then Nathan told David, "You are this man. Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, I anoint you as a king over Israel, and I rescued you from the hand of Saul. I gave to you your master's house and your master's wives into your arms, and I gave it to you, the house of Israel and Judah. If this were too little, I would have continued to do for you much more. Why have you despised the word of the Lord by doing evil in his sight? You struck down Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and you took his wife as a wife for yourself. You killed him with the sword of the Ammonites. Now the sword will never depart from your house, because you have despised me, and you have taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be your wife. Thus says the Lord, see, I will raise up trouble against you from within your own house. I will take your wives before your eyes, and will give them to your neighbor, and he will lie with your wives in broad daylight. Although you did it secretly, I will do this thing before all Israel and under the sun." Then David said to Nathan, "I have sinned against the Lord." Nathan said to David, "Now the Lord has put away your sin. You shall not die. Nevertheless, because by this deed you have utterly scorned the Lord, the child who is born to you shall die." Then Nathan went to his house. The Lord struck the child that the wife of Uriah had borne for David, and he became sick. David entreated God on behalf of the child. He fasted for a period. He would go in and lie throughout the night on the ground. The elders of the house stood beside him to rouse him from the ground, but he was not willing, nor would he consume food with them. The child died on the seventh day, and the servants of David were afraid to tell him that the child had died. They said, "When the child was alive, he would speak to him, but he would not acknowledge our voices. Now, how can we say to him, 'The child is dead'? He may do harm." When David noticed that his servants were whispering to one another, he perceived that the child was dead. So he asked the servants, "Is the child dead?" They said, "He is dead." So David arose from the ground, washed, anointed himself, and changed his garments. Then he entered the house of the Lord and worshipped. He then went into his own house. When he asked, they set down food for him and ate. His servant said to him, "What is this thing you have done? You fasted and wept for the sake of the living child, but when the child died, you arose and ate food." He explained, "As long as the child was alive, I fasted and wept because I thought, 'Who knows, the Lord may be gracious to me, and so the child may live.' But now that he is dead, why should I fast? Am I able to bring him back again? I will go to him, but he will not return to me." The birth of Solomon. Then David comforted Bathsheba his wife. He went to her and lay with her so that she conceived a son. He named him Solomon, and the Lord loved him. So he sent a word by way of the prophet Nathan that he should be named Jedediah for the sake of the Lord. Now Joab fought against Rabbah of the Ammonites and assumed control of the royal city. So Joab sent messengers to David and reported, I have fought against Rabbah, and I have occupied the water supply of the city. Now gather the remainder of the people, lay siege on the city, and take it. Otherwise I myself will capture the city, and it will be called by my name. So David gathered all of the people, and they went to Rabbah, fought against it, and took it. David took the crown of the king from his head, and its weight was a talent of gold and precious stone. It was placed upon the head of David. He brought out large quantities of plunder from the city. He brought out the people who were in it, and he put them to work with saws and iron picks and iron axes, and sent them to work in the brick kiln. Thus he did to all of the cities of the Ammonites. Then David and all of the people returned to Jerusalem. Chapter 13. Amnon and Tamar. After this, Absalom, the son of David, had a beautiful sister whose name was Tamar, and Amnon, the son of David, fell in love with her. It depressed Amnon to the point of falling ill that Tamar, his sister, was a virgin, but it was impossible for Amnon to pursue her. Now Amnon had a friend whose name was Jonadab, the son of Shimeah, the brother of David, and Jonadab was a very crafty individual. He asked him, Why are you, the son of the king, so sullen morning after morning? Will you not tell me? Amnon told him, I am in love with Tamar, the sister of Absalom, my brother. Jonadab instructed him, Lie down on your bed and pretend to be ill. When your father comes to see you, say to him, Please allow Tamar, my sister, to come and prepare some food for me. She would make the food here, so that when I see it, I may eat it from her hand. So Amnon lay down and pretended to be ill. When the king came to see him, Amnon said to the king, Please let my sister Tamar come here to make a couple of cakes, so that I may be nourished from her hand. Then David sent word to Tamar at the house, Please go to the house of Amnon, your brother, and prepare food for him. So Tamar went to the house of Amnon, her brother, where he was lying. She took the dough, kneaded it, and made the cakes before him. Then she baked them. Then she took the baking tray and served the cakes to him, but he refused to eat. Amnon said, Send everyone away. So they all left him. And then Amnon said to Tamar, Bring the food into the bedroom that I may eat from your hand. So Tamar took the cakes that she had made and brought them in the bedroom to Amnon, her brother. When she brought them close for him to eat, he took hold of her and said, Come lie with me, my sister. She pled with him, No, my brother, do not violate me, for such a thing is not to be done in Israel. Do not carry out this awful thing. As for me, where could I escape my disgrace? And you would be like one of the fools in Israel. Now please speak to the king, for he will not withhold me from you. But he refused to listen to her. So, being stronger than her, he overpowered her and lay with her. Then Amnon hated her greatly. So the hatred with which he hated her was greater than the love with which he had loved her. And Amnon said to her, Get up, go away. She said to him, No, because this great offense of dismissing me is worse than the other which you did to me. But he refused to listen to her. He called his personal servant and said, Send this woman out from me and secure the door behind her. Now she was wearing a long robe, because the virgin daughters of the king were clothed in such garments. So his servant put her out and secured the door behind her. So Tamar put ashes on her head and tore the long robe that she was wearing. She put her hand on her head and left, wailing as she went. Absalom, her brother, said to her, Has Amnon, your brother, been with you? Keep silent for now, my sister. He is your brother. Do not take this thing to heart. So Tamar stayed in the house of Absalom, her brother, a desolate woman. When King David heard about these things, he was very angry. And Absalom would not speak with Amnon, either pleasantly or angrily, but Absalom hated Amnon because he had raped his sister Tamar. Absalom kills Amnon. 2 full years later, the sheep shearers of Absalom were in Baal Hazar near Ephraim, and Absalom invited all of the sons of the king. Then Absalom came to the king and requested, "Your servant has sheep shearers. Will the king and his servants kindly go with your servant?" The king said to Absalom, "No, my son, we must not all go, or we will be a burden to you." When he urged him, he refused to go, but gave him his blessing. Absalom said, "If not, allow my brother Amnon to go with us." But the king replied to him, "Why should he go with you?" But Absalom urged him until he sent Amnon and all of the king's sons along with him. Now Absalom had commanded his servant, "Look for Amnon to come carefree on account of the wine. Then I will say to you, strike Amnon and kill him. Do not be afraid, for am I not myself commanding you? Be strong and brave." So the servants of Absalom did to Amnon that which Absalom had commanded. Then the sons of the kings arose, each mounting his mule, and fled. While they were on the way, the report reached David, "Absalom struck down all of the sons of the king, and there is not one of them remaining." Then the king arose, tore his garments, and lay on the ground, while all of his servants who were standing nearby tore their garments. But Jonadab, the son of David's brother, Shimea, said, "My lord should not think that they have killed all of his servants, who are the king's sons. Amnon's alone is dead, for this has been determined from the day he raped Tamar, his sister, by the very declaration of Absalom. Now my lord the king should not take this matter to heart, thinking that all of the king's sons are dead. Instead, Amnon alone is dead." Absalom fled. Now when the servant who was keeping watch looked up, he saw many people coming on the road beyond him and around the hill. So Jonadab said to the king, "See, the king's sons are coming, as your servant spoke." So it is. As soon as he had finished speaking, the sons of the king arrived, lifted their voices, and wept. The king and all of his servants also wept loudly. Now Absalom fled and went to Talmi, the son of Ammihud, king of Geshur. David mourned over his son every day. When Absalom fled and went to Geshur, he was there for 3 years. Then King David longed to go out to Absalom, for he was consoled over the death of Abner. Samuel 11, 12, 13.
Bye, have a good day, and please subscribe, hope you like this video, please leave a like or comment, bye.
Have a good day.
you said that faster.
I did.